Jai Mahamaya Ki Jai. In our last discourse, we heard more about the Divine Mother and her sovereignty, and we also completed Book 4. Now we're moving on to Book 5, Chapter 1. The Rishis said, the great legendary story of the life of Sri Krishna, supremely divine, destructive of all sins, has been narrated by you, O Sutta. So Sutta was taught by Veda Vyasa, this Purana, and he's now relating it to the Rishis in the special place that they are during the Kali Yuga. So they're speaking now to Sutta. But, O Blessed One, you, though highly intelligent, have dwelt on it not at a great length. Hence many doubts are cropping up in our minds. A very difficult tapasya was performed by Krishna, the part incarnate of Vishnu, who had to go to a forest to worship Shiva. Next, it has been known that the Devi Parvati, the part incarnate of the Great Mother, the Mother of the Universe, the Supreme and Perfect, offered boons to Sri Krishna. How did it then come to pass that Sri Krishna, being himself the God, had to worship Parvati and Shiva? Is it that Sri Krishna was inferior to Shiva and Parvati? This is our doubt. Sutta spoke. Hear then the reasons, O noble rishis, that I heard from Veda Vyasa. I will now sing before you those meritorious deeds of Sri Krishna. The son of Pariksit, the intelligent Jamajaya, King Jamajaya, had also the same doubts that you now have when he heard the story before from Veda Vyasa, and he asked the same questions that you asked now. King Janamajaya said, O son of Satyavati, O Veda Vyasa, I have heard from you much about the Supreme Goddess, the highest cause. Still the doubts have not been leaving me. O fortunate one, Krishna, the Deva of the Devas, the Vishnu incarnate, worshipped Shiva and had to perform dire penances. This is my great wonder. He is the soul of all the jivas, the one ruler and the Lord of this world, and he is able to confer all the cities. How is it then that the Lord Vishnu had to perform very difficult asceticism like an ordinary mortal? He who is able to create this universe moving and unmoving, he who is able to preserve and destroy it, why did he practice such a terrible penance? Veda Vyasa said, true, it has been said by you that Krishna is the destroyer of the demons, and he is able to create and preserve the devas and do all other acts for them. But the great Lord assumed a human body. Therefore, he had to perform his duties like a man and observe the varnas and the asrama dharmas pertaining to human beings. Respecting elderly persons, worshiping the spiritual teachers, doing service to the brahmanas, adoring and perpetuating the devas, feeling sorrow at times of sorrow, feeling pleasures at time of pleasure, feeling dejection or expressing censure or scandal, or having sexual intercourse with women. In other words, to feel lust, anger, greediness, and other passions when their proper time arises. All these are natural to all human beings. How can, then, Sri Krishna, though intrinsically of pure qualities, become nirguna, devoid of human qualities, when he assumed a human body, which is saguna, which means with qualities? O ruler of men, the extinction of the Yadava race by the curse of Gandhari and the daughter of Savala and the curse of a Brahmin, Krishna leaving his human coil, the stealing away of his wives, the robbing of their wealth on the way by the dacoits of the Avira tribe, Arjuna's becoming powerless to hurl any weapons on those dacoits, Krishna not knowing anything about the stealing away of his son from Dwarka palace. These all correspond verily to exertions and failings appropriate to human bodies. Again, the Rishi Narayana is the part incarnate of Vishnu. and Krishna is the part incarnate of Rishi Narayana. Hence, what wonder is there if Krishna is seen to adore and perpetuate Shiva? Shiva is the god of gods, and he is the lord of all the causal bodies that exist in the state of susupti, which is deep sleep. In this respect, Shiva is the creator of Vishnu, and Vishnu worships him in this light. Rama, Krishna, and others are all part incarnations of Vishnu, so there is no wonder if they worship Shiva. In the word Aum, the letter A is Bhagavan Brahma. The letter U is Bhagavan Vishnu. The letter M is Bhagavan Shiva. And the half letter M is Maheshwari, the Supreme Mother of the universe. Therefore, consider Vishnu superior to Brahma. They again consider Shiva superior to Vishnu, and Maheshwari again superior to Shiva. The speciality of the half letter is that it can never be uttered. It is the symbol of the eternal Devi. In all the sastras, therefore, the superiority of the Devi is established. Vishnu is superior to Brahma, Shiva is superior to Vishnu. Therefore, no doubt can arise in Krishna's worshipping Shiva. O king, it is through the proximity of the Devi that the importance and superiority of Shiva is thus established. Thus, the incarnations of Vishnu arise in yuga after yuga through the interventions of the Yoga Maya, so there is no need to discuss on this point. Why to Achyuta alone, to Brahma and Shiva also, she gives troubles for getting involved into incarnations. She, the Yoga Maya, who is indirectly, with the twinkling of her eyes, creating, preserving, and destroying this universe. It is the Yoga Maya that caused Krishna to be transferred from his lying-in chamber to Gokula and be protected in the house of the cowherd, or Nanda. Afterwards, she took him to Mathura for the destruction of Kamsa, whence he was led again out of Jarasanda's fear to the city of Dwarka. It is she that created from her own self the 8 Naikas, the leading mistresses, and also 16,050 women for the pleasure and enjoyment of Krishna Bhagwan, the incarnation of Vishnu. Thus, Krishna was made completely subservient to them, just like a perfect slave. When a young woman, though she is alone, can bind a man down by the network of Maya like a strong iron chain, what wonder is there that the 16,050 women would make Krishna play in their hands like a sukha bird and make him an instrument to serve any purposes that they liked. Sri Krishna got himself so much under the control of Satyabhama that he went gladly under her commands to Indra's heavens to get the Parijata flowers. There he had to fight with Indra and subsequently stole away the Parijata tree and gave it to his wife as a very valuable ornament to be kept in her room. Behold, the same Krishna, by his own power, has defeated Sisupala and others for the preservation of religion, and then stole away Rukamini, the daughter of Bhima, and afterwards married her as his legal wife. Where is the rule then observed that it is a sin to take away another's wife? Thus all embodied beings get themselves subdued by ahamkara and do acts, good or bad, confounded and deluded by the network of Mahamaya that always drags one down below. From the Mula Prakriti are born Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva. And from the tamasic ahamkara of Prakriti is created this whole cosmos, moving and non-moving. The lotus-born Brahma becomes free when he is free from ahamkara. Otherwise, he becomes engaged in this world affair. When freed from this ahamkara, all the jivas become free, and their houses, wealth, wives, son, and brothers are quite powerless to their own to tie them down. But when bound by ahamkara, the jivas come under their control. O king, the ahamkara is the cause of bondage to all the beings. I am the doer. This work is done by my power, or this I will do myself. Thinking thus, the embodied beings fall themselves under this bondage. An earthen pot cannot be made without earth. No effects can be visible without a cause. Consequently, Vishnu is preserving this universe because of this ahamkara imposed on him by Prakriti. The human beings are always drowned in their cares and anxieties simply because they are bound by this ahamkara. When they become free from this ahamkara, their cares and anxieties at once vanish. Moha, delusion, comes out of ahamkara. World and the enjoyments thereof come out of moha. Otherwise, how can it be accounted for that Vishnu and others, the mine of all good and auspiciousness, take their several incarnations in various wombs? Neither moha nor this world comes to those that are bereft of ahamkara. Men are of three kinds, sattvic, rajasic, and tamasic. O king, Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva are sprung respectively from the rajasic, sattvic, and tamasic ahamkaras. In these three, the three ahamkaras are always to be found. So the munis that have realized the real essence declare. They are all bound by this ahamkara. There is no doubt in this. The pundits of dull intellect and deluded by Maya declare that Vishnu takes various incarnations out of his own free will. For when it is seen that men of even inferior intellects do not entertain any desire to enter into the womb painful and terrible, how will Vishnu then, the holder of the discus, like to come into the world? The slayer of Madhu, the Vaishnavas say, entered all at once into the womb of Devaki, full of feces and other dirty things and his own free will. But you must think out what happiness can Madhu Sandhu or Vishnu, quitting is Vaikuntha heaven, attaining in this womb full of so many troubles, and where arise, like poisons, hundreds of cares and thoughts to torment an individually, especially when it is seen that human beings perform asceticism, sacrifice yagyas, and do various charities, that they would avoid thus entering in wombs, which is very painful and terrible. How can Bhagavan Vishnu be called independent? If so, he would never have yielded to enter into all these lifetimes. Therefore, O king, know this, that this whole universe is under the control of Yoga Maya. The devas, men, birds, what more, everything from Brahma down to the blade of grass are all under the control of Yoga Maya. Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva all are bound by the rope of her Maya. So they roam easily by her Maya from womb to womb like a spider. Here ends the first chapter, the fifth book, on the superiority of Shiva over Vishnu in the Mahapurana of Srimad Devi Bhagavatam by Maharishi Vedavyasa, consisting of 18,000 verses. Jai Mahamaya Ki Jai, Vishveshwari Mata Ki Jai, Bole Baba Ki Jai.